Alright, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I felt like it was needed to update the new wall build. It's been about 9 months now since the last one, and then after this I most likely will be going back to the requested builds like Nemesis, Thanatos, things like that. So let's get right into it. New wall, not really played too much. She's a decent mixture of skill shots and also non-skill shot, you know, her infamous ultimate that just hits everybody in the map, no matter where they are. So let's go over Conquest and then other game modes right after that. So Conquest, new wall, most likely in the middle lane, the current meta. Starter item for Prick Shroud, a really great passive to keep you sustained, decent HP on it, MP5 as well. And then you want to pick up a tier 1 item, rather it's Lost Artifact for the MP5 and Magical Power, and then build that up to Chronos Pendant after you finish your boots. Or, you should know this by now, picking up the Tiny Trinkets, the 20 magical power and 4% magical lifesteal, and then you pretty much pick this up if you are going to counter healers or high health regeneration gods like Shock Vomata Hercules, and you build it up into Divine Ruin after you finish your boots. But more than likely you'll be picking up the Lost Artifact and then go into Chronos Pendant right after you finish your boots. The boots, more likely you're probably going to pick up the cooldown reduction boots on top of the Chronos Pendant just so you can have your ultimate up very often. The thing about New Wall's ultimate, if people don't know this, is that if you look at it, I have no cooldown reduction items on. I just, you know, sold the boots and everything like that. 110 seconds cooldown. That's quite a long cooldown, but of course it's a, you know, ultimate that hits everybody and no skill shots needed. So to get more use out of that, you definitely want to have some type of cooldown reduction. Rather it's just Chronos Pendant and choose a Magi, or choose a Focus, and, you know, maybe a breastplate, something like that. You definitely want to have some type of cooldown in your build for New Wall, so you can get some use out of that ultimate. So if you have Shoes of Focus and the Chronos Pendants, your ultimate goes down to 66 seconds, which that's a little bit more doable. Continuing on, stacking items. If you're a fan of stacking items and you have time for a stacking item, Book of Thoth is really strong on New Wall. On top of, if you're going to be running the high, or the max rather, cooldown reduction, the Book of Thoth is going to offer a decent amount of mana for complementing the cooldown reduction, so you're not just constantly draining your mana all the time. If not, of course, the Warlock Sash is the other option for the stacking item. This does offer mana. It's a little bit more survivability, just giving you a bunch of HP to help against like bursty targets on the enemy team if you're getting focused, things like that. So a little bit of personal preference. If you know you don't have time for stacking items, the other option would be, of course, Ethereal Staff. It's the general same idea as Warlock Sash, except you don't have to worry about stacks if you know your game's going to end soon or whatever like that. You don't want to worry about building stacks. Next, Penetration. Obsidian Shard is honestly the only option for New Wall. She doesn't, like, her minions do not apply on hit effects, meaning they don't, where are they going? Oh, they're going over there. They don't apply Gem of Isolation, they don't apply the Spear of Magus stack. So, with that being said, Obsidian Shard isn't your only option. But, good thing to note is that the Clay Shoulders, if they do attack the enemy, they do apply a flat magical protection reduction. So that pretty much acts as bonus, like, that pretty much acts like the, you know, Spear of Magus, if you will. So Obsidian Shard will be, you know, the penetration item to go. Next, if your match is ending soon, or you don't think it's going to last too long, whatever the case is, Rod to Hootie, you definitely want to pick that up soon. Especially if you want to get some, you know, damage off your ultimate. If you hold that off to, like, your very last item, and that's, like, risky, because it's not guaranteed to go into, like, late game, then your ultimate won't be doing that much damage. So, let's go with, like, Rod to Hootie, just for sake of continuing. And then, okay, well, alright, well, it would be the item at the 6th slot, but, you know, you go back, sell your start item, and then you just pick up Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver, pretty often, it's picked up for New Wall, works really well. You're always guaranteed to apply that effect on your target. So yeah, that pretty much runs it for Conquest. Now let's go into, like, Arena. Arena, it's similar items. Overall, you know, you go for cooldown reduction. At least I do this. I like to go full cooldown reduction. You can go choose a Magi if you want. If you're being, you know, focused a lot by assassins or just, you know, warriors in general or any physical, you can go like the Shoes of Magi and then Breastplate of Valor. The thing is, if you go with the Shoes of Focus and Breastplate of Valor, you're running at very low magical power. As you see, you only have 30 magical power, so So if you are going to go to breastplate, I would recommend going to Shoes of Magi. That's just my personal preference. At least you have 65 magical power. But let's just continue on with the norm. The Shoes of Focus, Chronos Pendant. If you do want to pick up Bancroft's talent just because of the huge magical power spike and they're really cool passive, I would recommend pick it up in like the first 3 item slots, like before or after the Chronos Pendant. If not, this will be the good time to go into Penetration. Obsidian Shard, for casual game modes that end pretty early, for example like Arena, you definitely want to pick up your high costly items early on, like on the 4th or 5th slot. Rather it be Rod Tahuti and Soul Reaver, or you could do like Soul Reaver then Rod Tahuti, whichever one you prefer. And then for your last item, it can be whatever, honestly, if you want to do Gem of Isolation, just so when you pop your ultimate in, like, let's say a team fight, rather than trying to get the last hit and kill somebody that's running away, your ultimate will apply the Gem of Isolation on everybody. People hit by your 3 or your 1, obviously, will also get affected by Gem of Isolation if you don't want that. If you want a little bit more defensive item, you can go to Mag's Blessing. Mag's Blessing is always there, always a decent defensive item to pick up, just so the passive. If not, you know, you can just go into whatever high powered item like Bancroft's Talon, and you can run about like 625 magical power. The previous build, if you saw that, it was about like 700 plus magical power on the Conquest build, because I had the stack item filled, the Book of Thoth filled up. Now going into actives, I personally pick this up all the time when I play New Wall. Not Conquest, so you probably not too viable in Conquest, but like let's say Assault or Arena or Siege or whatever. I love to pick up Girdle of Inner Power, and then as soon as you pop that, then pop your ultimate, just so you can get some extra penetration and magical power. We were way too far to see that from Raw, but that's just kind of like, you know, the way I use it. Since Girdle isn't really picked up at all, this is the only time I really want to pick it up is for New Wall, for the extra, and it's super cheap too. Other things, you know, Purification Beads if you need it. Actives are all situational, so it's, you know, just pick up whatever you need. Now that pretty much wraps it up for the build video. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.